has the athleticism, has the size.
This is a guy that can really win at the second and third level.
With the 4th pick, the New England Patriots select.
Welcome everybody, it's Deuce and Lazar, and we're here with our final mock draft of the 2025 spring. Evan, it's been a long process to this point. We've studied a lot of guys. We have our 50 big boards. We've done a couple mock drafts, but it all leads to this. Just as we get to this point, what's your overall feeling about this draft class and our final mock here?
Well, tell us what's happening in front of the Patriots, and I can tell you who they're taking for overall. That's been my feeling for a while now. I think we both have similar lines of thinking of where they might go with the 4th overall pick, but we're all crossing our fingers that maybe somebody in front of them dips on 2 of those quarterbacks, and then maybe the Patriots have somebody fall to them that isn't exactly who we have mocked here, but might be somebody that the fans will like. But in general, I just feel like right now, the Patriots are going to get a good player at 4, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, well, why don't you kick it off here with my day 1 and day 2 picks, and who's available? Not Abdul Carter, not Travis Hunter, unfortunately. Yeah. It just seems that's the way things are going to line up, even as we've got here later in the process. You still hear rumors somebody might fall, but I'm going to say no. And Evan, I'm just trying to hit it right down the middle here. Will Campbell, we talked plenty about him, super athletic. I'm not going to mention his length at this point because the Patriots need a left tackle. Will Campbell's the best left tackle here in the draft class, and that's what I'm going with right here. Enough talk about him. I think he's an outstanding player, really fits with Mike Vrabel. Second one, Nick Scourton. I've picked him a couple times in my mock drafts. Feels like a sweet spot to me, Evan, with this edge class, that second round. Scourton, he's in these mock drafts I've done, he's managed to get through. I've grabbed him. There are some other options there as well. Jalen Noel, I know a guy you really like, very productive, very consistent, very explosive, perfect kind of third round guy to take a chance on, bring into this wide receiver room to add an element of speed. And lastly, Damian Martinez, a hard-charging running back from Miami. Nice complementary piece to add to that running back room. Guy who doesn't fumble, guy who breaks tackles, maybe more of an early down guy. We've talked plenty about the running backs. There's plenty to be had in this draft. But what do you think, Ev? Give me your review here of my top 4 picks.
Well, we
here.
hit all the same positions, which tells us that we're all kind of thinking the same sort of thing about how they might approach this draft. Will Campbell at the top. We're all on board with that at this point, I feel like. Jalen Noel's a player that I'm really excited about. I think he probably projects more inside as a slot receiver or a stretch the field vertical slot, but I've compared him a lot in this process to Tyler Lockett. I feel like he's that type of player that can win down the field. That combine testing numbers really prove that, running that sub 4.4 40-yard dash. So this isn't a jitterbug slot. This is a guy that can really win at the second and third level and get down the field. Damian Martinez, bowling ball running back, power back. I went with a little bit more of the speed guy. You went with the power. I think either way you can't go wrong in a class like this at running back, and we're both in agreement on Scourton. I think he's just one of those Vrabel, hard-charging, effort and finish type of guys, versatile, can play with his hand in the dirt, can play outside the tackle as a stand-up edge defender. So all guys that we have all targeted or looked at or had on our big boards and whatnot. And as we can see, as we go to mine, it's the same positions, right? Tackle, receiver, running back, edge. I just went in a little bit of a different order. Now, I'm with you. I think it's going to be Will Campbell, but I just wanted to play devil's advocate. If it's not Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter and it's not Will Campbell, Armand Membou maybe has a little bit of a higher ceiling, I think, at tackle than Will Campbell does because he checks all of the boxes. You're not going to have questions about length with him. He's over the 33-inch threshold. Very good athlete, just like Will Campbell at the combine. A little bit bigger, 330 pounds. So I watched Membou on film, just a great run blocker, really quick out of his stance, can reach blocks laterally, can combo up, can pull, can really move at that position at the tackle spot and be an impact run blocker. As a pass blocker, he's clean. He doesn't beat himself too often. Very good out of his stance again. Really protects his edge, sets inside out, doesn't let up a ton of inside moves against him. So just sound as a pass blocker. I think the biggest question with him, obviously, is flipping sides. He's going to have to go from right to left. There is some precedent for doing that. Tristan Wirfs is probably the best one. If you want to go back a little bit away, Tyron Smith has done it as well. So it's not totally out of the question for somebody to go from right to left. So Armand Membou at the top. A little bit of a late riser here in the second round, maybe higher than some expect, but I think Kyle Williams from Washington State is going to go real high. I think he's going to go much higher than what the media boards and the consensus has him right now. A 3-level separator, a little bit like Noel, but I think with the difference with Kyle Williams, he can win a little bit more on the outside. He's got that ability to beat press coverage on the outside and run by people with that 4.4 speed. But you look at his ability at the first 2 levels on those catch and run plays, dig, slant routes, curls, flats, all those types of routes that you can throw quick into the boundary there. He has a really good job of picking up yards after the catch and making big plays happen in that way. We went running back both in the 3rd round. I went with my guy Sampson from Tennessee. A little bit more of a change of pace, scat back, great speed, great big play ability. Love how he manipulates the 2nd level of the defense and sets up his blocks with his jump cuts. Extremely efficient running back as well, and I think there's some untapped potential there in the passing game that they didn't really use him as much at Tennessee in that respect, but I think he will be used that way in the league. So you have that thunder and lightning thing going on with Ramondre Stevenson and Dylan Sampson. Oladejo, good name. I think he actually goes by Femi Oladejo, so I should probably say it correctly. Femi Oladejo, really interesting kind of ball of clay to give to Mike Vrabel and Terrell Williams on the defensive side of the ball. He started his career at UCLA as an off-ball linebacker, then moved to the edge. Explosive guy, but he's got great versatility. He can drop into coverage. He can defend the run. He can rush the passer. Loved him at the Senior Bowl. I thought his motor was just hot all day long in Mobile for the entire week, and those are the types of guys that they seem to be gravitating towards. You give him to the right coaching staff, put some seasoning on him, Oladejo in a couple years I think is going to be one of the steals of this draft.
All right, so the same positions there on days 1 and 2. We get now into day 3. Some of the Flyers, and I'm looking for traits here.
Yeah.
We've talked a lot about Jeffrey Bassa, one of the leaders of Oregon's defense, off-the-ball guy, played a little safety earlier in his career, has those movement skills that Vrabel seems to desire on with the 2nd-level linebackers we've seen him bring in. Riley Leonard, if you watch the national championship game, no stranger to him. A little bit of a crossover with Drake May, enough of the athleticism, some size. I think when you're looking now, Flyers on quarterbacks, that's Joe Milton, gone now, need another young guy like Riley Leonard. Now again, developmental traits, Logan Brown, another big tackle, hasn't played a lot, but has the athleticism, has the size. I'm double dipping. I went Will Campbell first. I'm taking another tackle here, continuing to reinforce that position. Last, Ty Robinson, a player I've just been all over. I mean, versatile guy along the defensive front, really tough, really physical, plays like a Mike Vrabel kind of a guy. And lastly, we all know Drew Kendall, you got to take a BC guy right at the end. A little bit of a need at center long term, some uncertainty there with that spot. So I'm sticking local, going with Drew Kendall, who they have a lot of familiarity with. So have filling positions in need. To me, this was, again, for me, a mock draft right down the middle, trying to fill the holes that I see that they've got. They did a pretty good job in free agency, filled a lot of them, but certainly I would highlight tackle as a position they need to add some depth, as well as trying to tap this running back and defensive end class. Great classes. Love to see them get some of those guys.
Yeah, really quickly, Logan Brown, I think, is a good pick here in the 5th round. Might get docked a little bit because of what happened at Wisconsin before he transferred to Kansas. So he's got all the measurables and all the tools. You mentioned the athleticism. That was definitely off the charts at the Combine. Watched him recently. Thought his film at right tackle was really good and maybe even starting caliber, but maybe he can play some swing tackle too early on in his career and then eventually take over for Morgan Moses when Morgan Moses moves on. Ty Robinson, bull in a china shop, just an absolute, I don't have to say much more than that. Just a bull in a china shop, honestly. I mean, he's just a wrecker. And then Drew Kendall, what I'm interested about with Drew Kendall at this point is how high is Drew Kendall going to go? Because I think a lot of people project him as a starting center at the next level. So you could see him go a little bit earlier on day 3 than this. He's going to be a coveted player. And again, we kind of did the same thing more or less. I really wanted to hit this defensive line class right in the middle of the draft twice because I just feel like that's a real strength of this draft. It's a very deep defensive line class. So I went Joshua Farmer here from Florida State. The Patriots have reportedly shown some interest in him, hosted him on a 30 visit, and I just look at him as a nice compliment to what they would get with Femi Oladejo. Oladejo, a little bit more of that traditional edge, play him outside the tackle. Farmer, somebody that can play with his hand in the dirt, whether it's at defensive end or in sub packages over the interior of the defensive line at defensive tackle. Then with Carson Vision, Alabama A&M, you went Logan Brown. I went Vision, same idea, same vision, if you will. With Vision, though, just a quick story going back to the Senior Bowl. We were in Mobile, and it was the end of practice, and Vision had a really good day there at the Senior Bowl, and so they pulled him into the center of the arena, and they put him against Shamar Stewart, Texas A&M's first-round pick, and Vision won the rep. It was a showcase rep. Everybody was watching, big huddle around the two of them, and Vision stonewalled him on a bull rush by Shamar Stewart. Place went crazy. Vision went crazy. I just love the competitiveness, the fire, and I think he's got some versatility. Play him at left tackle, maybe play him at left guard, so it gives the Patriots some depth at both of those spots, which I really like. Thomas Fidone, my favorite sleeper in this tight end class right now. Fidone, early on in his career, had back-to-back seasons lost due to torn ACLs in the same knee, so that's why he's going to be going lower in this draft. But he's been healthy the last 2 years, and he's a really good athlete, really good run blocker as well. You see him run crossing routes over the middle of the field in particular. He can run away from man coverage. He can find those voids in zone. He makes catches in traffic, really good ball skills, really good body control and ability to adjust to the football. Curtis Rourke in Indiana, you went Riley Leonard. I went Curtis Rourke, same kind of idea. I look at him as kind of like an Aiden O'Connell type, but what I really like about Rourke is that he played last season on a torn ACL. That's the Vrabel toughness and sort of just bravado that I expect the Patriots to be gravitated towards, a guy that's competitive and tough and got Indiana pretty far last season on a torn ACL. That's impressive. And then the last one, got to go with another kicker. We've mocked a couple different kickers to the Patriots at this point, but Ryan Fitzgerald, reportedly again, they hosted him on a private visit here. Very accurate, very consistent kicker, known for being extremely accurate inside of 50 yards, and I think the Patriots will show some interest in him in the draft. So just similar positions that you had, Deuce, and I think we're all kind of on the same page about this draft, but a couple different players here.
All right, and with that, it's going to wrap up our spring of mock drafts, big boards. Check them all out. Tell us what we got right, what did we get wrong. Love to hear from you guys in the comments. And of course, be sure to stick with us on Patriots.com throughout the draft, from the first round all the way through the undrafted free agents. We've got you covered.